Welcome to a surprise stream of me breaking my schedule, because I do not do this today, but I am. So we've got a slight change to the normal. Let's put that water somewhere safe, shall we? Okay, so last time we PVA coated one side of the launcher and the two mini nukes. So we should be okay with them. So we're going to paint these, but first of all we have to coat one side with the other glue because, well, it's a whole thing. Don't worry about it. But yeah, we've got to coat the other side with PVA in order to seal it, so we're going to start off with that. Now I've already done most of it, we just got to do the other side, the rails and the box at the back. So it's like here, here, around there, this pipe, this pipe and this side, and like around there. But we've already done here. Whoa, okay, no, this thing's huge. So we've already done up to there. So we've just got this, we've just got a little bit to do. But if we do that first, it means it'll be drying while we're doing all the paint and nonsense on the rest. As per usual with painting streams, I don't know how long this is going to last because, well, why would I? So, just going to pour off a bit of PVA glue. Regret screwing that lid on with the water in it, or with the glue on it, because it'll become a problem in the future. And we're just going to use a paintbrush to spread glue around it, just, you know. Now, of course, I can see I got a bit of this before, but I know I didn't get the uprights because I would have had to have come in from the other side. And that just was not happening. So if we go across there like that, get in here. Don't know if I got that, but the worst that happens is I go over it a second time, right? Of course, come along the pipe, get that. Now, of course, when it comes to painting this stuff, it's like, this is literally one of the last parts I'm doing, so. Now usually I'd do this with Plasti Dip. This is my first time doing this with PVA glue. But apparently PVA glue is a good way to do this. So, you know, if you don't ever try new things, you don't find out that things work. It's sort of good when these things work. And again, yeah, you don't find out till you try. To be fair, the effect it's had on most of it sort of gives it a cast effect, because it's not perfectly smooth, which is what I was expecting for metal, but it's slightly mottled, not really mottled, sorry, slightly bumpy, which usually is a sign that something's been cast and hasn't been finished. But considering the fact that the Fatman itself was a prototype at the end of the war, like when the bombs fell, it had only been like available for a month to be shipped. So we're not talking something that's going to have had a large amount of finishing processes on it. As I said before, 50% of doing cosplays is coming up with reasons why something is like it is. You changed this bit, the design. Part 1, don't care. So what, it's different. Accuracy is genuinely unimportant. Like, the important part of costuming is that you have fun. Also, with this front bit, I should have used the technique I used back here for the whole flying, not changed it, but I wasn't sure it was going to be strong enough and stuff like that. I mean, if you were here for the VODs, then, or if you were here for the old ones, or you've seen the VODs, you will understand why I did what. I explained it all as I was going along, and I mean, hopefully anyone who watches would understand. And plus, if you're here at the time, you can ask for advice. And why I did what I... Just ask me why the heck I'm doing what I'm doing. Because... Also, this bendiness is why I was concerned about coming up there, because when this is done, it will look the part. Like, it'll look like it's a metal structure, but like the actual thing, it's like, this definitely is not sheet steel, and nobody would ever believe it was if they ever saw it in motion. But again, I keep on having to say it, but with cosplay you just have to make it look like it's the part in photographs. It does not matter if it's light and flexible everywhere else. Because no matter how many times I have to say it, I will continue. The people who look at people's cosplays across Convention Centre and go, oh, that's not good enough, are jerks. "98% of the time they are people who've never made anything, because if you'd actually made something, it's like the same when they come up to you and say, oh, well, this person does better. I think anyone who's done a project knows that there are people who do better than them. I mean, heck, me included, like... I mean, if you've seen, like, Kamui Cosplay's work, heck. It's like, I'm not even competing with them, like, ever. That's basically a professional prop studio. Just like, nah, not worth competing with. It's not because they're not good enough to compete with, it's because, yeah, I'm never going to beat that. This level here is 6 years experience. And yes, 6 years experience, and this is the first time I'm sealing with PVA glue. Apparently this stuff's really good if it doesn't have to be flexible, and this is supposed to be sheet steel. It's not supposed to be flexible. I'm hopefully not going to be flexing it at all, so, you know, it should work. I believe that's everything now. So now let's go put this thing down somewhere where it won't pick up loads of rocks, dust and the like, and where it can dry. Literally, the table is good enough. Let's put as much of this back as is possible because just squeeze it all back in. It's basically the consistency of snot. From what I remember of this stuff from school, like if you just get loads of it in there and just like leave it and dry, you can just pull it all out in one go. But there you go. We've saved a little bit. And that's we're 13 minutes in. I would consider that as a success. Now, that is going to be an unusual thing to paint, and is going to take ages. But that's not why we're here, because painting that is going to be a later job. We're going to wait for the glue to dry, so that'll be the next video. We'll be painting the Fatman. If you're not interested in the painting of everything else, then there you go. You know when it's going to be. Which one of these is least? Okay, that's the most full. That's least full. Okay, prepare for a farting noise. I don't really see me using more than just like silver today, because I've had this stuff dry in a session before, but I've got quite a bit to paint today. Also, if it's just like for like desk prop, like the old Mini Nuke, I generally just paint it with paint straight onto the foam. I don't care. The underseal quality is that unimportant to me. Okay, so we're going to need a big brush. Then we grab a small brush to cut all of this stuff out with. So what I'm doing there, just trying to encourage all of the paint down to one end. But to be fair, there is not much paint left in that part. So let's get a relatively big brush. Maybe not that one. That one. Yeah. And let's get painting the rest. So this is the launcher cards. So I'm going to just paint this whole thing silver. Fortunately, because it has tabs to glue it in to the launcher at the end, I can grip onto it and paint. And we just paint across the bottom. Because, you know, it's the 1950s, everything in the future is chrome. It shows how much stuff I've painted from the Fallout franchise, the fact that I just have bottles and bottles of chrome paint everywhere. Hello, boiler. Welcome to consciousness, I guess. Gets to make a bit of noise in the background and let everyone know that it's there. Now it's almost guaranteed that I'm going to have my hands covered in paint by the end of the day because, well, it's me and paint. If I haven't painted myself, have I really been painting? Of course, this is the point where I literally regret using yellow cardboard because look how well that paint's going over there. It's one of those bits that's going to need a few layers. But, you know, some bits just need extra paint. Don't forget, crafting is long, difficult work. You must hydrate, or things go badly for you. See, I'm supposed to be Hey. See, I'm supposed to be keeping the tops of these bits clear because that's the glue spot. I'm not doing a good job of it, but the absolute worst case scenario is I have to come back and clear it all up afterwards. And plus, this is one of the first operations for painting anyway, because you've got to paint it once to get the colour on, and then you've got to paint over again to get all the colour properly for the little bits you missed. Then you've got to go over for detailing, then you've got to go over the top of that for aging, then you've got to seal it to the end. In general, it's a whole mess of paint, but hopefully this one will be longer than the last painting video, because that was a bit silly short, to be fair. Painting all silver really does make that back end look better than it does there. And there's no paint on any of it. Well, there's no glue back here. This is all just contacts. It's the little bit I added at the front that's going to be the problem for gluing. Look how flexible that is for a launch mechanism. And in this case, I'm not really doing like little bits of paint here. This is just one thick coat to get it all coloured. Doesn't need to look pretty, doesn't need to look effective. Just needs to be covered. Okay. And one poorly painted first coat of a launch carriage. It's very chrome. There's going to be a little bit of correcting to do on that, but now if you were here for the previous build for the mini nukes, you know what's coming. Is it silver paint? Yes. Just paint around here. Just move that down here. Paint around. Just carry on. Hopefully this will only require one layer of silver paint, but I've had to do more in the past. Make sure to get the bottom bits, because once I've started painting the way up, it becomes a mess. And of course getting that gap there. I'm okay. How are you doing? Oop. Try not to scrape it across the desk. Your paint doesn't like that. Down. What are you eating? Ooh, get that bit and around here. around here, go around here. The ends there, and get down here, get this bit. Now you may think when all this is going to be red at the end that I'm going to be wasting, like all these bits that can be red and green at the end, I am wasting the silver paint on. And to be fair, just say that's wrong is rude, so I actually need to paint them silver first because it has an effect of shining through the thin layers of green I put on top, and it just looks more cool. I mean, as far as weapon of mass destruction goes, you don't like want it to be all shiny and pretty, but as far as a decoration on the wall goes, or something you're carrying around to convention, you do want it to be shiny and pretty. And because this is a prop, not a real thing, I'm 100% in the shiny and pretty camp. Obviously, it's a lot of chrome paint. Basically, that's what this entire session is going to be. It's just chrome painting everything. Hoping that the first bit's dried by the time we get to the end, so I can do the next bit. But yeah, this is definitely going to be a 2-layer job, because I can see the original colours through it, just... It's not like I can see them in complete isolation, so, you know, I know they're there, so I can see them, but... I mean, when I'm talking about it, these are made exactly the same way. You can't see the original colours on this one, and this one needs to cover them up the same. Now, it may be because of the brightness of the camera, but I can't see it on the feedback, but I do know that it's there. Oh, I ain't coming. Okay, so Also, because this one was a bit damaged when I made the template to make this one, basically I'm just going to say it got damaged. It's like an old one that's damaged, you know. It's like these things are hundreds of years old, right? They're not all going to be in pristine condition, and it is why I like the idea of making one like that way over making them like this, because these things are all brightly coloured. You have to then compensate for the colour and blah blah blah. You know, it's a lot of extra work. There's a whole few extra machining processes, and when you don't have to do them, it's much quicker. Of course, when painting, try to keep it off the surface. I mean, the last time I did this, like, I tried to take pictures to put on social media afterwards to, like, show, hey, look at the progress, and it's like, I have painted everything a clear coat. There is no progress, no progress visible. Which is quite annoying when you're trying to show off, like, yay, look at my progress, and basically, it was a good thing I had to do the dial, but there's some bits that I don't like about that dial, the way I've done it. I mean, I think if I went back again, I would have done the second layer out of 0.5 foam. Or not 0.5, but like the thinnest foam I could, and the layer underneath in 0.5. And probably have cut them both out of a straight piece, because that would have, or that would also have led me to have a thinner layer at the end. Because I mean, it's good, but like, I could have done better. Oh well. Ultimately, what we have to remember is we're always improving. And every time you produce something that isn't perfect, that's just a lesson that you can learn for the next time. And if you think you're ever going to be perfect, well, you have problems, because nobody ever is. You just get better over time. I really should stop picking that up like that. That's going to damage the nose. Oop. saw that missed that entire side on the camera. When I look back, I was just like, yay, I've got it all. Oh, I missed that huge section. Whoops. But yeah, that looks pretty solidly silver now. It isn't. Like, the camera doesn't pick it up, but there's a lot of silver not on that. So let's get on with this one. In the weapons world, it is definitely the ugly duckling of this group, but it's not bad, and I've done much worse. Okay, which one? That one's slightly lighter. Do I have a knife that I don't care about? Give an impression of how sharp the knives I'm working with are. Oh, we're going to regret that later. I mean, to be fair, that pot was done. I was not getting any more out of it. Well, not without destructive means. A lot of paint stuck around the side of that pot, wasn't it? Don't worry, all the spare off this is going into one of the other two that have survived because I'm not one for throwing this stuff away, because, you know, why would I? It's perfectly good paint. Okay, so that's a significant amount of paint now. Go around the bottom here, get in the centre, get the bottom of it, because, you know, we've got a nice ring through the bottom to aim for, and here. I genuinely can't remember. Did I? Okay. So, you know I haven't painted the bottom of these so it can stand? I haven't painted the bottom of these so they can stand too. I just never bothered. They're literally unpainted foam on the bottom. Because I know I kept on intending to go back and do it, but intending to go back and actually going back are two entirely different things. So just go grab some of this, come around there, paint in there, there, get the bottom of these. Don't worry about losing a lot of paint, I have enough for now. Go like that. Just chuck that in there like that. Come in here, grab that. Paint across the back. So you've got to make sure you get all the centre bits first. Around, get that last little bit, paint, oop, across here, so now of course we've got the centre, so now we've got to work our way out. Paint like this. Now a lot of this is just repeating the same step over and over, because it's just go around, paint that bit. Start heading around, turn it around. Paint this bit, this. I can't wait to finish up the Nuka one as well. That's going to be really great because, you know, everything always goes better when you post it in cosplay groups if it has working lights on it. Basically most of my online posts just like, hey, I put lights on this thing for no reason. Everyone's just like, yay, lights. Like, they're sort of stupid and pointless. Yeah, but it lights up. Do that, grab a little more, go around there, oof, along there, grab that bit, paint your way around. Start off on the back there, do the ring in the middle, a little bit back there, come here. Let's paint this bit, get the ring in the middle. As far as streaming tomorrow goes, I don't know. I'm definitely going to be on the day afterwards because I want to carry on with this, but yeah, I think the gaming section is just on a holiday at the moment. Because I know I don't say it very often, but this is actually a crafting channel. I just do far more gaming than crafting, because crafting is difficult and expensive. There's actually a shocking amount of work that goes into making these things. Okay, I should definitely be back Friday, because that's when I'm going to be carrying on with this Friday. Otherwise, I'll hopefully be getting back to gaming in I don't know. Generally, when I feel up to it is the best answer I have. Definitely getting silvered. Oh, thank you. I mean, to be fair, I'm getting restless and bored and want to come back anyway, so it's not likely to be much longer. Paint through here, fill in that gap because I messed it up. Shh, it's fine. Me messing stuff up isn't a problem, it's the plan. Mostly it's a plan, because this entire thing here is just a prototype. And I can put them together as lazily and as badly as I like. It doesn't really matter. But if I was doing this properly, I would have filled all of the seams. But I just want to see how this one looks next to the good ones at the end. And if it is any good, stupid hand. If it is any good, I might make some more like it at some point. If it isn't, I mean, I've wasted a small amount of foam on finding out that it's not as good. To be fair, it just goes next to the ones that I made years ago, which aren't as good, but still a bit cool as heck. Spring. I mean, they're silver for now, but that's just because I'm giving them a metallic undercoat. They will be painted up properly eventually, but it's about 4 layers of paint to finish it. I mean, I can bring back the other one and explain how I did it, but and hopefully over the course of painting we will see how it gets done. Okay, and the first one's dry, which is what I was hoping for. Yes, they will be much darker colours at the end. To be fair, that one is... this one is base coat is the same colour as this. I know it doesn't look it, but it was all silver at the start. Then I went over with the green, or the green and yellow and red, which are also really brightly coloured and shiny, up until I did the wash with the wash to make it look dirty at the end. The wash at the end, you thin the paint significantly. Then you pretty much just wash it in the really thinned paint. It is quite a simple process, but the type of thing they just don't teach. To be fair, nobody teaches any of this. Just to note, it's not actually 100% the same as the game. There are several mistakes that I made. I'm hopefully going to correct some of them on this one that I'm making now. But I'm ignoring some little details that I don't particularly want to do. But yeah. In the game model, there are two little vents, one to basically, at about this position, there's two little square vents, there and there, and there and there, which I missed out on this design because I was only looking at it from the top and I couldn't see those bits. And also on one side of them, there's actually a yellow arrow that points forwards. But it's only on one side, and the reference I was looking at the wrong side, or I didn't look at all 360 degrees. I mean, it's the 1950s, everything's chrome. Is it actually showing up shiny on camera? Because it probably is. Yeah, actually is. That thing, if you see it in real life, it doesn't actually look that shiny. It's just because I've got a studio light aiming straight down. It's going straight back up. But like, God, 4 years ago when I made my set T51, I learnt that if you do a base coat of silver and then do a thin coat of any colour over the top, the chrome shine, or the silver, will shine straight through it. And it looks really cool. So I've basically done that on everything since because I think it looks cool. And that is enough for me to do an effect. Yeah, anything I make that's supposed to be made out of metal and coloured on top, I try to make look about as shiny as Iron Man armour. I mean, it doesn't fit the military aesthetic, but okay, I think that's completely covered now. Now the question is, okay, so this is partially dry. Partially dry. So I can touch it in places, but anywhere where it's like a thicker layer, I can't. But essentially, the bottom of this needs some recoating and re-going over. You know, just where I missed little bits. of course, while going over all this, gotta kind of spend some time. Just go through, look for the bits that you've missed, because I mean, nobody's perfect, and when you try first time, you'll do the best you can, but everyone makes mistakes. It's fine. It's nothing to worry about, but and all those little bits of messed up paint that I did earlier, where it just didn't go on right, and everything else that I messed up, like where the cuts didn't go properly and stuff like that, it just makes it look like more of a handmade original. Now for the second coat. Now for the bottom section, I'm going to be going at 90 degrees to my original paint coat. I think 50-50 on that. I can't remember, but it doesn't matter. Let's go through, paint. And at this point, I can't see the original colours, which is the point of the painting layers, so. Just sort of go through like that. Now I'm getting little bits of paint on me, but now the changing paint strokes by 90 degrees means that it'll fill in all the gaps from before. Also means that you don't end up with deep brush strokes all across your work. Surprisingly important. And like, don't worry if you don't get 100% coverage. You can always go over again and try to get it properly next time. Just keep it going round. And of course, walk that one back. Yeah, yeah. Now, of course, the second layering like this does not take as long as the first. It never did. But that now looks completely silver, which, you know, you would want. That's not dry. It's the problem with the later stages being so much faster. You end up with a bit of a mess to deal with. So, Now we have to let them dry, and we can't redo that one yet. So we can't work on this yet because I can still see the glue on that one. Fortunately, I don't want to end there. It's way, way too short for this. So, I mean, do I have anything else? Dry. Okay, so I'm going to make a mess of this one because I don't care. I'm going to get the worst bits of it, repaint. Going my way up. And keep going a little more. Wow, okay, that was way, way, way too much paint. As you can see, the top of this one is a bit of a mess, but again, prototype. Stop being so harsh on the prototypes. They're fine. I can't believe this separated out as much as it has on the surface. This usually just goes straight on. Much nicer. Now, on the other hand, I now have to deal with the fact I've got all the silver paint out and I no longer need it. I I will of course need it all next time, so... Because, I mean, you think there's a lot of paint that went onto those? And off it gets. Oh wow, that was actually see-through. Like if you look from the inside, it's actually see-through there. I did not know that. Interesting. So we can put that back. This is officially wrecked now. And of course we can put that one in there, get some of the paint off. Now you may think it's odd keeping my paint on, or my paint thing, cleaning thing on the floor, but if I splash it that way the computer dies. Now the question is, it's a little bit dry. Now, the question is, can I find a pot to use? Because I didn't expect this to be as fast as it has been. Like, I was expecting the painting to take longer, and it hasn't. So I've now got to find a pot or something that I could mix paint in. Oh, that's the wrong one. There you go. That's the nice strong brown. Actually, that's almost black brown. That's... We'll see when I mix them. Mixie tabs. Do we have any floating ones that I don't care if I wreck? That's a good one. Mixie tab. Anything for it? There's like 20 of these things, so it's like oh no, that one's never been used for painting. We definitely need red as well. I'm quite sure what I used last time was just plain brown. Yeah, that's just plain dark brown. I mean, it works, but... So now, let's give this a little bit of warmth. Now this is not actually set to hot, it's about the temperature. It's like the lowest settings on a hairdryer. Like, it's not hot. Do note, if you do that for proper hot air gun, you will be burnt in. That would have severely burnt me on a high setting. This is lower than a hairdryer, so. I cannot advise, do not do that with a hot air gun. I should have thought of that before I did it, but that would have involved me thinking about something, and I don't do that. Yeah. I love having the temperature control in that thing. All the things I have that get hot, I have good temperature controls on, so I don't get burnt. Okay. So let's get this started. We have... that'll do. So what I'm doing here is just adding little bits of rust around the place. It doesn't need to be a lot of rust, just, you know, little bits brown around the place. Of course, I'm not doing tons of rust, just like... I mean, you can see there, that's... Right, now the lighting's become a problem. Okay, so now you can see some bits of rust on there, but this is incredibly chrome. Basically, wherever there's an actual seam, where there's supposed to be a seam, I'm just adding in bits so it's basically looks like it's rusted, because you know, over 200 years old, it will have degraded a little bit. point, where is my rag? Did I not bring some? Yeah, good, I can get some easily now. Right here, just it's starting to look like it's slightly rusty. Half the work involved with this is just distressing, so ultimately I'm getting a bit lazy and hitting the thing on too hard. As well, which means that some parts are looking better than others because I'm messing up, but It's surprisingly difficult to just do a light coating on something that wants to move this much. So it's not done, but I was hoping to have it a little less distressed than that. That's I'm sure a lot of people would like their Fatman a little less distressed than it is. So I mean, there is one launcher carriage. There's no point doing the bottom, nobody will ever see it. Immediately starts doing it, of course she does, why would I not? Okay, so there you go. Make it look rusted and old and beaten up. I'm gonna have to do that across the whole Fatman, aren't I? Yeah. As it becomes apparent, I have a lot of work in my future. Now, I don't know if that mini nuke's dry or not. Oh, whoops. Okay, that's one colour down. Now, is this dry is the question. Because if it isn't dry, okay, that's almost dry, so, right, again, when painting properly, don't do this. If you're painting properly and not rushing and like on stream need to keep the thing going instead of just ending early, this is a really bad way to paint. Because if you do it like this, you get bubbling and it becomes a mess. I mean, I'm being careful to do it the best I can, and I don't even think this is going to go well. So that's mostly dry. That should do for now. Grab one of my most hated colours. Hey look, natural olive green. The colour I've had the most complaints about me using for military gear ever. It's like, oh no, you need proper like this colour for that, and I'm just like, psst. I just need like 6 coats of this stuff, really. Hey look, I wonder what colours I've used this for before. As you can imagine, this green does look really, really shiny. Now at this phase of the painting, I'm not bothered by making a mess because it all gets corrected later. Now if you want this to look more serious and less candy, well, less candy coated. Oh boy, looking at the wrong person there. Okay, I like the colour scheme, but if you want it to look that, use grey instead of silver underneath, because it'll keep it looking metallic, but stop it from shining through in the way that this does. But of course you will end up with people like me asking, like, so why are you even bothering if you want it like shiny, if you don't want shiny? Also, don't worry about it. I mean, essentially, it's better if you don't get the green on the bolts. But also, I don't really care, because I'm going to be coming over it all in the end anyway. Also, the upside with painting the Fatman as a whole is that when you get to the end of painting one end of that thing, it is so big that you'll just go back, paint the first bit again. Because it'll be dry. With little things like this, you have to get out the hairdryer and like rack up your paint in order to do it fast enough. Find a bit of non-dried paint there. Now that's starting to go towards the right colour. So if we paint through like this, sorry, I think I started a sentence there that I forgot about like halfway through. Go around, get everything green. Am I going to waste my time painting the top green? Probably not. Roundabout, I'm going to be painting it properly next time, I don't care. Two notes, I'm going to be doing the red and yellow next time round, not this time. So I just don't want to be ending like the crafting streams early because, as I've said, despite the fact the majority of what I do here is play video games, what I actually want to be doing is this. Like, all the time. Okay. It's an improvement, right? So I've already done those two bits. Didn't really think of that. Well, to be fair, that is now 3 coats thick and 1 layer of colour. It's got to have a 2nd coat of green, which I don't know when it'll be ready for that, probably next time. And because I think once I'm done with the green on this one, I'm going to be packing up for the night because I don't know. Paint drying. Let's let some of this dry properly, okay? And of course, you don't want to mix colours while it's still wet. That is a disaster. Oops, I need to put some more paint in. I didn't want to do that. That's more than I need. As you can see, this paint job, actually no, you may not be able to see, but the paint job I have now is a complete pigsty of paint job. It looks horrible. But this is the first load of paint going on. It's going to be a mess. Especially with how much haste I've done this with, because I mean, if you are going to be doing this at any point, like, wait for your paint coats to dry between layers. I know I'm not doing it, but well, I'm doing this for entertainment purposes, and does anyone really want to sit here for like 2 hours looking at paint drying? Like, really? Because of course I wouldn't even want to sit here for 2 hours looking at paint drying. Someone's got something wrong with their car. Go across there, and I actually put in the right amount of paint. I thought it was too much. So, and after that, I am now done. So the Fatman itself is drying for the last layer of sealant, or the last section of sealant, because I mean, I can present me. Okay, so this is drying for the final sections. Like there, that rail and that side are all drying. I can see them, they're not done yet. We have the carriage painted and distressed. Then got Mini Nuke number 1, which has 1 layer of paint, 1 layer of green, and Mini Nuke number 2 with 1 layer of green. And with that, I'm going to finish. I'll be back next time. I will be, well, painting this, which is going to take a lot of silver and chrome. But that's probably going to take 2 hours just to do 1 coat of paint across the whole thing. Then after that, I've got to make it look as aged and thinged as that. And I've got to do some more aging on this, because rust isn't just one colour. It's actually multiple colours and I need to do the others. I need to do a second layer of green on both of these to make them look reasonable. And then I have to do yellow and red on both of them. I've got bits more detail to do here, and so yeah, I've got probably next week I'll be finishing, I think, for the paint. But we'll see. So thanks for coming, and hopefully you'll come to see the rest of this being built. Okay. So, bye.